Osiris.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back finally to the Corner of Gray Street podcast, episode 102. I'm Bruce and joined as always by Nolan. Good evening, Nolan.
Hello, Bruce. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It has. And it's also been a while for this other guest, but not really. I mean, not too long. It just feels like forever. We just like seeing his face and hearing his voice. Alex Sohani, welcome back to the pod, my man.
What's up, guys?
Nothing. Just trying to wrestle kids to bed, literally and physically wrestling them to bed. But other than that, we are good, and we are ready to talk about the last 8 shows that we have not gotten to break down for a little while. So strap in, 4-hour megasode coming your way. Just kidding. We will not do that to you all. We will do this as fast as possible, but we brought Alex on because he went to several of these shows and he always brings the goods. We want to hear what it was like, boots on the ground, all of that stuff. But first, Nolan, we have some updated merch. You threw some new stuff up there recently. Looks awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll hop on over to Jones Beach and kick off our East Coast finale shows.
Yeah. I added some new merch to the Cogs Pod store. We've got hats. Oh yeah,
Ooh.
Dad hats to be specific. So check them out. They're pretty awesome. It's got the logo with the circle around it, kind of like our stickers. So check them out and just buy a ton and resell them at the Gorge or something. I don't know. That'd be awesome. Just pass them out at the Gorge. Whoever's going, do that.
That's exactly right. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Cheers to that. That will be awesome. I'm working on my dad bod right here, so I can wear some dad hats. But we're all three basically dads here, so we are good to go. Throw on the dad hats, and also I need Alex to stand up real quick because I mean repping our other favorite band, Goose. Let's see it. Oh yeah, looking good right there.
I didn't get the memo on that one.
It's okay. The Goose is loose, and
a little monkey. They're a little monkey pod. So I got the.
I'm sorry. What is that?
The monkey pod.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
A restaurant in Hawaii, in Maui.
I would know nothing about that. Absolutely nothing. But this is how cultured we are on the podcast. We've got hippie Alex with his tie-dye. We've got monkey pod Maui Nolan and drinking a local Jacksonville beer, Bruce. But we're ready to kick things off, not close to any of us, and that's in Wantagh, New York, over at Jones Beach. And the Jones Beach Theater, really cool venue that we are all really jealous whenever they play there. Our good friend Corey, shout out to him, typically goes. And then our good friend Clint Wells played the venue, I think it was the night after DMB did, so sent us some cool pics and said what an awesome venue it was. But how about this? Guest of the pod, Alex, do you have the set list pulled up, my man?
I do.
Well, why don't you read on through it real quick? Let's get through this set and talk about some highlights, and we'll move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Show started off with a lot of classics. You'd think it was 2004 again for a minute there. 41 opener, Don't Drink the Water, and then PNP into Pig, continuing the PNP summer of surprises. Then a Walk Around the Moon, Busted Stuff, Squirm, Spaceman to get your big whiskey fix out of the way, and then a Madman's Fake into Minarets, Gray Street, and then Lying in the Hands of God into ABI, Black and Bluebird, Let's Dance, What Would You Say, and then a killer ending run of Digging a Ditch, Nancy's into Warehouse, into Ants to close the show. And And then the encore was I'll Back You Up, first time since 21 for the full band, which is pretty wild. And then Crush to close. So a really solid set. What do you guys think?
I would agree. I think really strong start and finish, middle a little up and down, but if I'm at that show, I'm happy, especially with that venue. It's awesome. Friend of the pod, Alex, tries to make it out there usually, but did not make it this time. Sorry you missed I'll Back You Up. That's a tough one. I think I've still only seen I'll Back You Up once. They just never play it. It's crazy. But man, that is an awesome encore, awesome finish. Yeah, they cut Dave's solo song and replaced it with I'll Back You Up. So that is awesome.
It is really great tour debut. What's crazy is this show, which is so solid. If you look at the rarity, it is the last place in rarity. It is the least rare show of the entire tour. Every single song pretty much has been played multiple times, if not double-digit times. But it's just a sign of how great this tour is, how strong it is. And the crazy thing, when you're looking at the opening run with the 41 Don't Drink, PNP into Pig, Walk Around the Moon is different, but then Busted Stuff, you didn't have anything pre-02 besides that Busted Stuff right there. And then the closing run of, what would you say, Dig in a Ditch, Nancy's into Warehouse, Ants into Ants Marching, then Encore of I'll Back You Up, Crush. Nothing before 98. Well, okay, Dig in a Ditch, also basically 2000, when it was written, 99, whatever, released in 02. But like, just absurd. A totally throwback show for a lot of it, and that's just awesome, and it's just another testament to the tour, really. I just can't believe that we've gotten that use just in this one tour to being like, yeah, decent show. For the most part, you get a lot of that stuff. And you're, wow, that was really, really solid. And now we're just kind of glaze over it, and we're going to spend about 30 more seconds on it. And then we're going basically over into Homedale, which is where Alex saw his next show. But yeah, looked fun. Jones Beach looked like they had some solid weather too, only 74 degrees. Super duper jealous. But Alex, let's toss it over to you. Take us to Homedale. And I don't know, man. We might have a strong argument for this potentially being the show of the tour. Since you were there, I'm going to let you read the full set again.
Well, going into this show, we were watching the set from Jones Beach real close, and we were pretty grumpy, thinking that it was going to be a letdown after that show. So kind of Debbie Downers all day in the lots, just like, oh man, like there's no way they can top Jones Beach. Like they played all the songs you want to hear, and then they came out and did this set, which was just insane. Started with What Would You Say, then a Recently, Granny, and then a PNP into Crash Into Me, which little awkward transition, but they got there. Then a Madman's Eyes, Lie in Our Graves, Drunken Soldier, Rooftop, Idea of You, nice to see that come back, Stolen Away, Bartender, and then Say Goodbye. And then Robert Randolph came and joined the band for Grace Is Gone and Hello Again, which was the first time he played on both, I believe. And just nuts. We'll talk about that a little bit more. And then closed out the main set with Typical Situation, Trippin' Billies, and You Might Die Trying. And then the encore, another unique part of the show, was Here on Out, Dave solo to start, and then they played the full triplets in the encore. So much to say, Anyone Sing the Bridge, and too much to finish, which is just super unexpected and a nice treat. It's been a long time.
Yeah, not too shabby. Good Lord.
It had been a long time. The fun stat of the day is that Nolan and I were at the previous show that those were played at in the encore. And that was Jeff Coffin's first show. Not necessarily, I guess, technically an official member of the band, but I mean, kind of basically, right? I mean, that was
first
the show
without Roy.
Yeah. Stone opener. I mean, we went fully into this show. What was it, like episode 7 or 8 or something of the pod? We did a full breakdown. Oh, what a show. That was fun. But Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious that you guys were kind of Debbie Downer. So, question for both of you, because it seems like y'all both have different perspectives. Is that typical for you, Alex, that you're going to look and pay close attention to the set list the night before? And Nolan, is that what you do?
I 100%
do that. I 100% do that. And I can this tour, I learned my lesson a little bit, but in the past, it's, the tours haven't been as strong as this in the way that 2023 closed out. So I've learned better, but in the past, I'd just be like, oh my God, the set last night was so amazing. There's no way it's going to be this good. It's going to be a letdown. But yeah, how about you, Nolan?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. Used to be that way, but now I'm like, with all the social media and how easy it is to follow the band and what they're doing and all the clips out there. Anytime I open my phone, Instagram, the first thing I see is like what they played the night before. So I try to not do that so I can be surprised. And I feel like in the past it was more of a like, oh God, they're gonna play Shake Me Tonight, aren't they? But now like in the last year, it's been like, okay, I don't want to know if they played Spoon night one at MSG, and then they open
What a
and I like
ridiculous
predict
statement.
that and then they open with it. So it's just like, to me, it makes it, uh, you know, it enhances it a little bit. And we go to so many shows, when you're not chasing as many songs anymore, I feel like it kind of adds to the element of surprise. But yeah, no, I try to not look.
I like both of the perspectives. No one is wrong there, and I think
What
I
do you
do
do?
both. I lean more towards Alex. I can't control myself. I have basically zero self control over these things.
This
But
is
I
true.
try to at least these days be like, okay, that doesn't influence whether I think it's going to be good or not.
Mm.
Um, Unless, of course, they played the last stop like the show before, and then I know they're not going to at my show, but they're not going to at my show anyway. So what does it matter? But we start off this show, Alex, obviously, absurdly good run. Take us through your thoughts and the transition of your brain from the lots, not going to be a good show, I don't know what's going to happen, to the first like 4 songs.
It was kind of a roller coaster. So first 4 songs, amazing. Like you can't get better than old school Dave. And like my dream is to one day see a show where it's all pre 2002 songs, just back to back. And this is about as close as you can get these days. Um, so opening run of What Would You Say? It's a great song. Not my favorite opener, but just really solid. And then Granny, love to see that early. PNP into Crash. I Crash has been so rare in the last few years. It was really nice to hear it like that, and despite the kind of fumble transition for a second there, it was pretty nice to hear that. Um, and then you got the obligatory Madman's Eyes appearance, which that's their single. They're playing the hell out of it, and get it out of the way. Had a cool little buddy intro to it, and then great version of Lie in Our Graves. So just in those first 6, you got 5 crazy big hit songs from '96 and earlier, outside of PNP. So and that Lie in Our Graves is really kind of a unique one, at least for full band that I've heard lately, where Tim was kind of doing a real slow build on that solo, and once it kind of hit its peak, the crowd went absolutely nuts on it. So that was awesome. And
They've been doing such a good job with that one lately. Random stat, which is, you said how rare Crash is, which it has been lately. At Homedale, it's like not at all. It's been played 6 times at Homedale, and it was the most played Homedale song besides Tripping Billies in this entire set. Like, what? Wonder what it is with Crash Into Me at Homedale. That's interesting. That's weird.
Oh, I got a little trivia for you. You said you're not a huge fan of What Would You Say as an opener, but can you guess how many times it has been played as an opener? Because it's not common.
Oh, that helps me. I was gonna guess like 97 or something absurd.
Oh no.
13.
No, Bruce, do you know?
I do not, but I was going to guess more along the lines of like, I was going to say maybe like 20 something.
Not quite that rare. 47 times, and it's been
Whoa.
on 48 live releases. So there you go. And it's
Wow.
only opened 5 times since 2019. So pretty rare.
Yeah, pretty rare.
Yeah, super rare. That is interesting. It opened that many times? Holy smokes.
I mean, 47 in 33 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
one
when you
a
average
year.
it out, like not a ton. I'm still baffled. Like, I feel like, what would you say is an opener? I'm like, huh? No, wait. They never do that. But I
I
guess,
know.
I guess they don't. But regardless, really cool.
You're
I
welcome.
like that.
I love this song. I'm like every
Yeah.
show I'm hoping for a Stone opener or something like that. But that, I mean, it was still nice to hear. So
Still a rarity. I bet you, I mean, Stone's opened way more than that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to table that for later on in the pod when
Mhm.
it may be open to show. We don't know yet because, we don't spoil things, I guess. So you get that absurd opening run, pretty awesome. Then you get Drunken Soldier, Rooftop, which was a tour debut, and then Idea of You,
Yeah.
Stolen Away on 55th and 3rd. That run of 4 songs. Interested to hear your thoughts and where, you may have thought like where the show was at this point for you.
Going through Drunken Soldier, I was already completely bought in. I love that song, Drunken Soldier. I was like, all right, this show has been insane so far.
Yeah.
And then those first few notes of Rooftop strike, and I was like, oh man, Rooftop for me is like the song that is the beginning of the end for a bad run. And
It's true. No,
it's
true.
like my wife can attest to this. I was like panicking. I was like, oh God, we're going to get like 6 terrible songs in a row. But no, it was just Rooftop, and then right back to the Little Red Veillette for Idea of You. And it was the first time I'd seen that in 5 or 6 years. So I was right back to being pumped again. Really nice to see that come back this year. And then Stolen Away, I enjoy that song too. It's quick, it's quiet. I haven't heard it much. And then the rest of the show, like no notes. You can't write a better set than
terrible after that.
Yeah, that, like you said, it
Really
did
bad.
ruin the rest of the show. We won't even talk about it. And I think that we'll just move on to the better show, which was Mansfield. So
Yeah,
I think that 4-song run is kind of one of those that when you're on paper and you're watching it from home, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, here we go. And I think both of you guys are higher on Soldier than I am, but I'm not like completely out on it. I think it's good. Rooftop's okay.
That run a few years ago, or even the last 12 years, if that run happens, it's Drunken Soldier, Rooftop. If only Cornbread.
7.
Space Bread, repeat twice.
Yeah.
Late set 7, and then You and Me, Jimmy.
Not a good run. Yeah. But hey, I'll take Soldier, Rooftop, Idea of You, Stolen Away, especially if I'm getting the next rest of the show, I guess. But at least Bartender Through Billy's is maybe one of the best runs they've ever had. I don't know. What did you think while you were there?
Wow, what a statement! I love it.
Yeah.
Being there, I was losing my mind. Honestly,
Good.
I was like texting my buddies. I was like, "This is insane! Like, we're going Bartender." You hear those first notes, and like immediately you're pumped because full band. That's also been kind of rare the last 5 or so years, I would say, which really doesn't make any sense to me considering it's not a song that ever had much violin in it. So you'd think it was, and it sounds great with this lineup. It's probably one of their 5 best songs that they play in this lineup, in my opinion.
That's a fact.
And just awesome version of that. Nice little jam at the end. And then immediately Carter starts going into that drum solo for Say Goodbye. And you see the blue lights come on. I'm like, oh my God, thank God it's not Cornbread. Although we did want Cornbread that night because my 13-year-old stepdaughter Chloe was there, and she loves that song. We would have been happy with it, but we got to say goodbye, and we're poking her like, this is really rare too. You're gonna love this.
You better love it.
Yeah.
Don't do what they're talking about.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Trying to give the parent notes during the whole thing, and then you continue that with, there was rumors all week after Robert Randolph had posted on Twitter about the Holmdel show, and then to see his guitar come up on stage, everyone's like, okay, here's the Cornbread, here's the Louisiana Bayou, whatever, and they just start playing Grace Is Gone, which is just like, the last song you'd expect, but it sounded awesome. It's probably the highest energy version of that song you'll ever hear. Like, it took Robert a minute to find his footing for sure on that, accompanying the main parts of the song, but then once it got on a roll and the jam started, it was crazy. I never heard it that loud during Grace Is Gone.
Oh, and the rumors were getting wild online because of some noob tube that posted that Rick and Trey were potentially going to guess. And of course, that's just like, all right, I mean, F off. And then it kind of like got legs, and other people were like, I don't know, like I heard this, and like do. And so people were kind of really going out there. And then I don't remember who it was, but they were like, no, it's going to be Robert Randolph. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. So we're still chasing that Rick Materatanda guest spot, but it'll happen one day. But Randolph, I texted Nolan the other night and was just like, this might be the GOAT Grace. I mean, especially post Roy.
Oh yeah,
it is truly unreal. And I disagree. Like, I thought that he had it even before the song started. He was on it. He sounded like freaking Derek Trucks up there. And it just sounded like he knew what he was doing, which is, so cool. He has a lot of soul in his playing, and Grace can call for that. And he nailed it. It was so good. And I can't imagine seeing that in person, just mouth agape. And just outstanding. It was so good.
Yeah, 100%. Like, once he really got some confidence playing along to the verses and stuff, I really was vibing with the sound. But for that first verse or so, I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. I just didn't know what to expect. And it was awesome. It wound up just being probably my favorite version I've seen full band for sure.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Like, maybe the GOAT versions of Grace and Hello Again. I think one, the surprise factor. Like, everyone knows Randolph's coming out, but like going to play on these two songs that are perfect for him that they've never thought about playing on, which is crazy to me. But I'm trying to think Grace Is Gone versions of that song. Like, the closest thing I can think of is like when Stefan would play the like the slide on it in the intros at the Gorge, like back in the O2 release or whatever. I mean, and this is just silly what Randolph does on it. And I mean, it's almost a 10-minute version of Grace. They seem like they didn't want to stop. But then they like keep the energy going with Hello Again, and a perfect song for Randolph as well. I mean, there's some 04 versions that are top notch, but I don't know. This one might be my favorite.
Can anybody else even remember an electric guitarist stepping in on Grace Is Gone?
No, I mean, the closest thing I can think of is like Molly Tuttle playing with like a resonator kind of effect on her guitar. Like,
Stanley Jordan played on it once.
Yeah.
And that's really it as far as guitar wise. I mean, besides Tim, obviously, and then several Bela, banjo versions. But this is just one of those, almost, once in everybody's lifetime moment here, which is really, really cool. man, just that's something that I can't believe. Just the creativity in the set list selection with Grace and Hello Again here. But yeah, talk a little bit about Hello Again, then, Alex. We've touched on Grace, one of the goats. What did you think of the Hello Again?
So I think I wound up liking the Hello Again even better. It was one of those where he's still on stage, so you're guessing before the song, and then the first few notes of Hello Again start up, and you're like, oh wow, I can't believe that there's a guest on this, and then it starts getting going, and you're like, I can't believe they haven't done this before. This is absolutely perfect for his sound. And yeah, I mean, it was really nice to hear a couple unexpected tunes. He added so much of that kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, like twang feel that with the slide that reminds me of that old 27 intro they used to do on the song, but just throughout the whole thing. And then the jam, just Robert Randolph does what Robert Randolph does. He's jumping up on his chair. He's playing with his foot. He's just hyping up Dave to go crazier and dance around on stage. So it was a dance party in there during that jam on Hello Again, and it was just really exciting. I can't remember a version that exciting since Buddy joined, so I really loved it.
Yeah, he's the only guy that has guested on it other than Leon Mobley, who guested on it in 2004 and was on percussion. So
crazy.
Insane. I mean, I know you're probably just super pissed that they didn't just play some Sly and the Family Stone like they did at the Gorge, and you had to deal with Hello Again, but it's okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
How has no one ever guested on Hello Again before? Like, what is that?
Wild.
I mean,
that's the other thing. It just isn't like, the selection of the songs just came out of nowhere. They make sense, but Dave was obviously in his country era or something with choosing those two out of the blue. And Randolph slotted in and just absolutely crushed them. Maybe we'll get more guests on Hello Again then. We'd love to see Lawler tear it up. I mean, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That could be easily done, but just a song that you never thought about would have a guest because they haven't really done it before. Just really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And then, okay, were you? I'm sure everyone was trying to calm down a little bit, and then you get a little typical situation, ease back into it before it takes off again, and then Billy's, and then Die Trying, and then, I mean, here on out, Cool Down, Dave Solo, triplets to end the show after that. And I mean, what was the reaction to this run once it was all said and done?
It was the same feeling as pretty much the rest of the show, of just every song that came was I can't believe that this run is continuing. I can't believe this run is continuing. Typical. It was a pretty long version for this lineup, I want to say. And that song has just got another crazy jam to it. I was so surprised to hear how many songs they wound up jamming out on this night at Homedale. Billy's
looks like Bartender and Typical were the same length, and they were both the longest of the night.
Yeah. It felt a little bit longer than some of the Typicals I've seen lately. I got to go back and look at that. And then Billy's always nice to hear, and I don't think that gets played enough lately. I thought that was the set closer, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Would have made a great one, but I also love You Might Die Trying. I think that's another song that this lineup absolutely just crushes. Maybe another one in that argument for a top 5 song in terms of how it sounds with this lineup. And then here on out, that's a song that means a lot to me and my wife, so it's engraved on the inside of her ring. So I'm happy to hear that with her. First time in a long time. And
that's
then
awesome.
Finishing the show with the triplets, I was blown away. So much to say is up there for me, is one of my favorite songs by them. So just to hear that start and being like, are they going to do the full triplets? Are they just closing with this? What's going on here? I was ecstatic. And again, my stepdaughter, Chloe, was ecstatic. She loves all 3 of those songs. So seeing her be excited made us more excited. And we were definitely not going to the lots early to try to beat the traffic home.
Good call.
anytime you're in the encore and you hear the So Much to Say riff start, you're just like, oh yes, that's top notch. Something, obviously that's going to be good, but they're going to do something else probably cool, because pretty much anytime they've done that, it's been a Too Much Fake in the Ants or Too Much in the Halloween, just something like that. So yeah, you're like marked safe from bad encore as soon as that starts. And what a great closing. I agree about Die Trying. So sick. It's like a guilty pleasure to hear them play that live. It is so good. Sometimes eye roll inducing, I guess, for people watching online, but it is. I agree. It is one of their best songs that they play.
I think it's just when it starts.
Yeah,
when you hear the
first
riff, and you're just like, okay, we've seen this one a lot, and then by the end, you're like, whoa,
you're like, holy shit! They just played the fuck out of that. That was absurd. Yeah, I mean, it is extremely good, as is that entire show. So we'll see if that's going to be the best show of the tour. But does anyone else have any thoughts on Holmdel before we shuffle on over to Mansfield?
No, just Dave loves New Jersey the most of all the states. Putting it out there.
Well, he's going to come right back there, and we're going to see about that in just a couple of shows. But it's a good bet. It's a good bet. All right.
Hey, we almost had a triplets encore in Raleigh 2014, but like you said, they had a Too Much Fake into Halloween instead. So Much Bridge, Too Much Fake Halloween. So that was tasty. So anytime you get So Much to Say, it's a good encore. Okay, Mansfield. Oh, I feel like Mansfield has been done wrong the past several years. Used to be a hot spot for shows. Now I think it just gets hot there. Whenever DMB goes, the weather is just unbearable. And from a friend of the pod, Derek, he was at the show, big birthday show for his wife. He said it was good, not great. First of all, it was brutally hot and humid, like 100% humidity, and you could cut the air with a butter knife. No breeze or anything. So it was just dead. The set list, so in his eyes, mainly just personal preference. But he thinks they played less bangers because it was so hot. And in their last 4 years being there, he said it's been like 1 year off, 1 year on. Last year's show was elite, and the one before that was slower. So I expected this one to be slower, and it was. But Bartender, Gray Street, and some others were great, although something was going on with the audio to where they were not able to hear Rashawn and Jeff for part of it.
Oh,
but overall, a fun show. But yeah, they couldn't hear the horn section for during Gray Street.
Well, that's no bueno, considering that's the whole ending of the song. Wow, yikes! Okay. Shout out to Derek and his wife there. That's awesome. Also, shout out to everyone would know at Future Chopped Champ. He rocked the Cog shirt. Okay, he was there. He was repping the merch. He had it on. It was
Chris
awesome.
was cooking.
Yeah, Chris was cooking. That's pretty good. I like that. A lot. Y'all know friend of the pod, Chris. He joined us earlier this year. I always like to I love his username on Insta. Future Chop Champ is one of my favorite ones. Even better than and more creative than Sohani. Okay. I mean, geez, dude. Not just no, just kidding. We were told by a certain friend named Alex Sohani that he was going to wear a Cogs Pod shirt, but it was so hot. I believe it got drenched in sweat before you even basically got to the show.
That was for Holmdel, and that was a hot. Okay. That was a hot day. Yeah, did not make it out to Mansfield.
Don't call him out. He did right by us eventually.
Did.
That's my fault. Why did I even think that you were at Mansfield? Considering we have in our notes the shows that you attended. It is obviously so hot that back then that I was just losing my mind now. So the show starts off extremely hot. I'll read the set list because, well, I don't want to
some good
subject
stuff sprinkled
I don't
in
want
here.
to subject Nolan to this. Okay, So Right opener, awesome. Big Eyed Fish into Bartender, of course. Warehouse, Funny the Way It Is, and Funny the Way It Is every single time that song pops up. For the most part, I think it's kind of got just like that same stank that Rooftop does that Sohani was talking about. It might not be the best, tell of what's coming. Proudest comes up next, and then into Full Satellite, which was apparently a fake of a fake because they were going to fake it and didn't. Into Will It Go Around in Circles, The Only Thing, Gravedigger, Everyday, Rooftop, Squirm, 27, Watchtower, sort of mid-set, Ocean and the Butterfly, which you haven't seen much this year, Lie in Our Graves, late, that's awesome, and Gray Streak to close, which the horns were, I guess, they just didn't play. Then we've got an encore of Some Devil, Why I Am, Crash Into Me. Very interesting. All right, fellas. Mansfield, Massachusetts. Rarest show of the tour, by the way, number 1. So does that bode for the best show of the tour? Or is Rarity just a crock of...
Kind of tells you what Rarity means, too. How good a set is. It means nothing.
Yeah, I think Alex and I had the same thing in our notes. Worst show of the tour? Question mark?
Oh.
Question mark.
Question
There's
mark.
a lot of good stuff in here, like you said, Nolan. But
There is.
It just never took off. Like it's up, down, up, down. Anytime that good song comes up, they just kind of bring it back down.
There's a bad run. I'd say Funny, Proudest, Satellite, Will Go Around in Circles, Only Thing, Gravedigger, Everyday, Rooftop, Squirm. That's tough.
Wait,
that's
you forgot to mention it's the longest documented version of Rooftop of all time. So you can take that away.
Oh, that is so funny. I saw that and I was like, what is that logo?
It's the longest.
I mean, you can't beat. I can't even get it out. You can't beat that though.
Yeah,
forget it.
Exactly. I mean, that Tim Prelude really sent it over the edge.
Wow, that is a new logo. Is that a new logo?
Yeah, it's a new icon. Thank you, Almanac. That's pretty cool, actually. Almanac's been doing some nice stuff lately, and that's one of them. With the little sand timer, and it will indicate what the longest documented version of a song is. So, way to go!
Guys.
And Rooftop at 6 minutes and 28 seconds is the longest version.
Cow. I cannot believe that is longer than the versions with the lovely ladies in 2015. My God.
You gotta believe it, man. You gotta believe.
I can't. How could it be slower? And it's definitely not worse than those. But oh my gosh.
Don't know why I laughed so hard at that. That's so
because it was so bad. The Rooftops of 2015 were so bad.
They weren't good. Yeah, and
so bad.
And that the thing is with runs like that, and it drives me nuts, is that these songs are not like terrible, and individually, most of these are still good songs. Proudest Monkey, Satellite is not a bad song. The only thing, I mean, we marked it as one of the best songs off their most recent album. Gravedigger, great song for the most part. Every Day. That one's tough these days. That one might be their current. That's top 5, I think, current worst songs they're playing right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it might be the worst.
Wow.
It is. I'm sorry. Guys. And this is, I know, that is a take. And I am standing by it. And I love Buddy Strong. Like, he is, I mean, sometimes he's he might be close to MVP of this tour for some of the good stuff he's doing. Every Day Ain't It, y'all. That song is circus music.
I gotta disagree, guys. I gotta disagree.
Good.
Are we about
Bring
to
it.
throw down?
Yeah, over Every Day.
We don't need to throw down, but I when I hear my last name throughout the entire outro, Sohani Hani, like,
all right, well, that's fair.
I gotta like it.
That's okay.
That's
You're
fair.
excused.
And Buddy sounds fantastic singing, and people tend to love it. I just don't. And I kind of hate it because I really like that song. That song is fun. I mean, we did a whole podcast about the music video of Every Day. I mean, you know, we do not hate that song, and we respect the sentiment and everything. Yeah, just not my favorite. But yeah, I mean, you know, just interesting. I don't think we have to spend too much more time on Mansfield. The last thing really is, you know, you get that late set Graves, but then you get a Crash Into Me closer. Just really, really interesting set list writing from Dave, things that don't really happen very often. And man, I want to know, like, what in the hell got into him with closing with Crash a couple times over the last like year or two.
That is pretty awesome. I feel like, I mean, I love that encore. Also, shout out the late set Lionel Graves. Amazing. Would have been cooler if they closed with it, I think. But Some Devil, great. When you hear YM, you got to be thinking that's it. And then you're pissed. You're like, really? Okay. And then he crashes the bonus song. I don't know. I think we were texting about it and I was like, that is awesome. And I don't think you really thought so, Bruce. I like the uniqueness, the variety.
I didn't like the Crash closer.
I was like, that's sick. And you were like, meh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I mean, I like unique sets, so I like unique stuff. Maybe I didn't like the rest of that show, and whenever you said that, I was just like, yeah, but the show. I don't know. I've learned. Maybe you taught me, and I learned Young Grasshopper. But
I mean, if they were like 90% of other bands, like that's their biggest song. Usually that's the last song in most sets, so it's kind of surprising that they don't do it more. If I'm being honest, but not my favorite.
That's so true. Like I feel like several other when I go to other shows, I'm like, I already know what they're going to play in the encore because they're going to keep you the entire show thinking they're going to play this one song, and then their last song they're going to play it. Like Yellow Card last year. What do you think they close with? Ocean Avenue. You better believe it. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like, of course,
we starting a Yellow Card pod.
Wow.
Yeah, we can do a Yellow Card
other
pod.
songs
here in
than
Jacksonville.
That song?
What?
They have other songs than Ocean Avenue?
They do, which I don't blame anyone for thinking that they may not, but they absolutely did. And the other day was at Dirty Heads, saw them with Slightly Stupid, and what do you think they closed with? Vacation. You better believe it. That was their last song in the encore, and I called that. So, duh. And I know like two of their songs.
Zach Bryan closes with Revival. Noah Khan closes with Stick Season.
Oh, he does? He doesn't open. I'm done with him. He's that kind of guy.
Opens with Dial Drunk.
Does he play the same set every night?
The same set? Yeah.
Similar. Fairly similar, but yeah.
He's done. He's not coming on the pod. He's not invited.
No. Well, while we're talking about it, while we're in Mansfield for a second, shout out to Noah Khan, who sold out Fenway 2 nights in a row. Bought the live stream. Holy cow. It was amazing. He played from on top of the Green Monster at one point with the Lumineers. That was epic. And then the encore brought out Mount Joy, Gracie Abrams, James Bay, the Lumineers, and then the second night, his family. So that was epic. Epic.
Second night, his family.
His family. They just came out and sang along.
All of these famous musicians, this, that, and the other. And the second night, well, he just brought up his family.
Yeah.
That's
Are the musicians? No, they're just dancing, singing. It was epic.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Really good. Well, we're not worthy of Noah Khan.
Okay. Well, I mean, in that case, we can stop talking about him then. Um, no. Yeah, Noah is fantastic. I'm really pissed that he's going to be down the road from me in about a month and we can't see him. But
Just go to it.
Nolan, if only life were that simple.
It's like half
Okay.
hour away from.
This is true. It is also a festival. It requires a lot, guys. All right. But we have to move on to Bristow, okay? And back to when Alex is in attendance. And this time, rocking the Cog shirt. Look at this guy. I mean, we're not showing him on the screen wearing it, but if we were like a really well produced podcast that was watched by like thousands of people, we would put it up on the screen right now. But I bet he looks so freaking fantastic that
right there.
Yeah. Right there. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, Alex, talk to us about Bristow, one of the bigger, at least more famous tailgate spots. How was the pre-show vibes? Kick us off here.
So the night before the show, we were not planning on going to Bristow. We were actually going to go to the Peach at the Beach festival in our backyard in Atlantic City. I live about 10 minutes away from that venue that they were doing that at, and some nasty weather was rolling in. So Sarah and I went to go see the Disco Biscuits, my wife Sarah, and they were doing like a pre-show for the festival there. And we were looking at the weather and we're like, do we really want to be here for this? And like stuck inside when we're supposed to be seeing music. We have all our friends going to Bristow. Let's just go. So we just scrapped our plans and drove down 3.5 hours to Bristow. It was awesome. Got to hang out with a bunch of our great friends. And then we went in early. We wound up getting pit tickets somehow. And we were like probably fourth or fifth row, sitting in the miserable heat. It was hot. But luckily that pit is really big and people were really respectful of space and stuff like that. You didn't have any of the crazy pushing, or everyone was super cool. Everyone was kind of sitting down, making sure that everyone was hydrated. And I think Dave and the boys realized how much time people were putting in and how much heat they were waiting for a great show. And they put on, I thought, a really excellent show, following up that kind of Mansfield iffy show, depending on your taste.
That's right. Well, since you were there, you got to read the set, my man.
Okay. Started off with PNP and a Granny. Awesome opener. Can't beat Granny. Song that Jane likes. First time in a while that had been played. Then A Fool in the Rain, and then Dreaming Tree early in the set. Awesome. Followed that up with The Fool to Think. What Would You Say? And then full band Black and Bluebird. Nice to see that too this year. Getting some love. Jimmy Thing into the tour debut of Brick House. Virginia in the Rain. And then American Baby intro into Break Free. Dancing Nancy's. Spaceman. Monsters. Late set Say Goodbye. And then closed out the main set with Joe Lawler coming on stage to hop on Cornbread and 41. And then to close out the encore was a 3-song encore again, second night in a row, with Baby Blue, Space Between, and Don't Drink the Water. Just high energy the whole way through. Really isn't a dud in there.
That's a sneaky good show.
Sneaky, hell yeah. I mean, you just didn't. No one's really talked too much about Bristow, I guess, besides the Joe Law, his sit-ins. But great opening run, really really cool. Fool in the Rain and Fool to Think early, but sandwiched in between there is the Dreaming Tree, and this is a great version too. I thought it was going to be dead for the tour, and got brought back. Big fan of A Late Say Goodbye. So what was that like? Obviously, you had seen that at the show you were at before. So were you just like, well, I guess here's Cornbread or Gravedigger or something, because I'm not getting 2 Say Goodbyes in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't seen that song very much in the shows I've been to. So getting it 2 shows in a row kind of was just wild. And circling back a little bit to that Dreaming Tree too, I think I listen to almost every show, just the tapes afterwards. And and I think that's probably the best it's sounded with this lineup, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't as a lot of the versions lately have been really fast, and this one felt a little bit more back to a reasonable pace, and they just were locked in. So that was a treat.
Nice. They love
Outro was
playing
awesome.
that early when they do decide to play it. I feel like it's always in that 3 or 4 slot. Just a really nice pairing there with Fool to Think as well. And then Lawler, they changed it. It was supposed to be Billy's, replaced with 41. And that's the first time number 41 has been played as a closer since, you guessed it, 4/20/02, the version of number 41. The Flecktones, 33 minutes, 32 and change. Epic. How's Lawler on 41?
So, he blew the doors off with Cornbread. I think that's really the only way the full band should play that song is with Lawler on it. It's just a totally different experience. And the crew started taking away all his equipment. And then you saw some chatter amongst the guys on stage, and then suddenly they're putting his amp back out and all the equipment back out to have him stay up, and they kind of did an audible, and Dave made a comment like, "Oh, we're having so much fun, we're just going to keep Joe up here," and then they start up on 41, and I think that might have been, if not the loudest, one of the loudest cheers of the night when they started 41. And it was great. I think, and we'll talk about it later. I think as the guest spots with Lawler continued, he found his confidence with it a little more. But once he kind of got going on that 41 solo, I think that's why they kept playing it. Honestly, it was just that the energy was through the roof by the end of it. And just I'll take a guest spot anytime. And actually, all day when we were tailgating before the show, I could hear one of the techs riffing with an electric guitar, Rhyme and Reason. So I was really all day. I was like, I think Lawler's gonna guest. I think Lawler's gonna guest. You don't hear them playing that on an electric much, and I wish it was Rhyme and Reason, but I'll take a 41. Like, can't say no to that. So exciting anytime he's on stage. That guy, he understands how to work a crowd.
Yeah. That's like one of the best parts about it, especially when you're there, because you just watch him and you're locked in. It doesn't even matter what anybody else is doing. It's still one of my favorite 41s ever was when he guested on it back in like 2010, I think in Seville. That one is with the Tim and him duel. I don't think any of the ones that he guested on this year hold a candle to that one, but that doesn't mean that they're bad by any means, because that one was one of the best. One of the coolest things ever, but really cool that they kept him out. They chose 41 and kind of swapped up the entire end of that show, kicking Billy's completely, but kicking Space Between down into the encore, keeping Joe up and closing with 41. I mean, what balls does that take? That's awesome. And yeah, I really like that. And I like the encore. What did you think about the encore, Alex?
Oh, I loved it. Don't Drink the Water is a great way to end a show, but taking it back a little bit, Baby Blue, I don't think it gets much better than that encore one. It's nice to see that Veillette come out anytime. It's really never a bad song in my opinion, and that's just a treat to hear that come back as an encore one. And then Space Between, full band. It's just when you hear that as a second song of the encore, you get really excited. Because Space Between's kind of rare, and it's nice to hear that. And then it's going to be a 3-song encore most likely. So they went right into Don't Drink the Water with a little prelude, and yeah, I mean, it's a song. Don't Drink the Water is a song that can be anywhere in the set, but when it closes, especially lately, it feels a little extra special, a little more sauce on it.
3-song encore is tough to beat, and it used to be all the time, but a little bit more rare now. Took some notes on this segue, actually. Space Between into Don't Drink the Water. Only the second time this segue has happened. The first time was August 27th, 2016 in Irvine, and that was a run of Space Between into Don't Drink the Water, into Typical, into Funny the Way It Is. That show also featured such segues as Proudest Monkey into Crash, Break
Hell
Free
yeah.
into Crush, and an encore of Sister into Two Step into Halloween.
What? Sister into Two Step?
That's what it says.
Oh, it's 2016. So they had Boyd started Two Step. Okay, I was like, Dave starts Two Step. How'd that happen? No, that's
Yeah.
Was Space Between played on the Barry the show, or was it the? Oh,
I wish. Dave, I don't remember what show it was, but a few shows earlier in the tour, I want to say, he was playing with the baritone, didn't like how it sounded, and switched back to the high B, and he's kept it on that high B acoustic since, which I love the baritone sound on that, but I'll still take it.
Something happened. It was like out of tune or something.
Yeah.
I think Brant was telling us about that, and maybe was it Alpine or Creek? Can't remember, but
the other Alex.
Yes, Alex Brant, Alex Sohani, back-to-back episodes with you guys. Wow.
I guess we have to have Alex Day on next.
We do. Wow.
Hey,
depends if he meets Carter at the Gorge again, I guess. Idiot.
Yeah. Well, now we got to jump into Guilford, and we have to talk about.
I really don't want to. No one went to those shows. They didn't exist. Midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, they didn't happen. This is
what are these midweek 2-night stands of epicness need to stop in the middle of nowhere? What is this about?
I mean, if you're not going to do a middle of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, epic 2-night stand in Jacksonville, you might as well not do it anywhere. I don't get it. And it's BS. I mean, this place looks like a barn. I mean, just
it does.
Hey,
they can't.
Don't disparage Guilford.
2 shows in North Carolina. What are we doing? We're playing 2 shows in New Hampshire. What's happening?
I would love to go to Guilford, New Hampshire. I think it's probably freaking awesome.
It would be awesome. Weather. But God.
But we couldn't go, so we hate it, and we're not even going to talk about this, okay? Because Nolan, I'm going to force you to read the set list because we're both pissed about it, and I don't think you've read one all the way through yet. You may have, but I'm going to get you to do this.
I don't think I have. I'll do it. All right. Well, the show was delayed a little over an hour due to inclement weather. So, of course, they go with the JTR opener, the rain opener. And they follow it up, of course, with Spoon, because that's what they do now. They just play Spoon all the time. They were going to open with it, but then they were like, we'll just add in JTR too. JTR, Spoon, Recently, Walk Around the Moon, Boa, Busted Stuff, Rhyme and Reason, Stolen Away, Where You Going, Madman's Eyes, Sugar Will, Liberation, okay, Pantala into Pig. That is awesome. Mid-set. Anyone seen the bridge into Too Much? No, so much to say. Digging a Ditch, Let's Dance, So Damn Lucky, The Last Stop, Cool. Just Breathe, and Gray Street.
Wow.
That's a heater.
That's a heater. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say maybe Holmdel, Guilford Night 1, and then something TBD. In maybe Camden stands out to me for this tour. But what in the world? What a Tuesday night in Guilford, New Hampshire, guys!
Insane. We had just shout out to my wife wanted me to shout out my DM BFF, Dave Bigler. Finally got his first Spoon after 200 shows. I'm sure a lot of people listening know who that guy is.
Let's go.
And it's one of the best reaction videos you'll ever see because he was filming when the song started and he drops his phone and you can hear him screaming in the background.
No way.
Shout out to Dave Bigler. Glad you got your Spoon. I'm glad we convinced you to go. He wasn't going to go. And then he wound up making a last-minute trip. So it was.
That's awesome. What this is all about. That is so awesome.
It's the chase. It's the best.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Dave and not Matthews, but also shout out to him because this set list is pretty incredible. And you have to give Guilford their props, or its props, whoever is responsible for this in the Guilford area. If it's some locals that are cooking up Dave some epic grub, or if he just likes playing in barns, I don't know. But JTR opener obviously added there, which is sick, and just the set list, right? Like, just I'm going to lose my mind. Think about the fact that they started a show with JTR Spoon and recently, just back to back to back, and then decided, we'll play Walk Around the Moon, new song. How about Best of What's Around, Busted Stuff, Rhyme and Reason? What are you talking about? Look, what year are we in? Who is this guy writing these set lists? That is absurd. That's truly absurd.
Take out Walk Around the Moon and like, what is that?
I don't know. It's like
I
you're
wonder
listening
those
to
shows. I don't think those songs have probably been played in the same show before. All of those.
Probably not.
I don't know. I mean, we can look that up really quickly. But the thought that I had was like, if you took all of your top like 25 Dave Matthews Band songs and put it on shuffle, there you go. That's kind of the list that you would probably get there. Or almost most popular rare songs, or just like whatever it is. But those, not only are there rarities, but they're great rarities, or ones that are played seldomly every year with maybe like a recently or a best of what's around, and rhyme. But the Busted Stuffs, the Spoons, the JTR, I mean, just ridiculous. You get I guess a small lull there in the middle, if you want to call it that. But when they popped out Sugar Will, I think I just like shot Nolan like a middle finger or emoji or something. Just like this, they deserved Sugar Will totally. They did. They really needed that in the middle there, Dave. And then an immediate Pantala into Pig. Anyone Sing the Bridge, which had not been played without so much to say. I don't think so in a while, at least. And then of course a Last Stop closer, main set, just truly absurd. It's hard to believe that this is. The rarity is not more than 17 out of 24 or whatever that it says on Almanac. But this set list is just awesome. It's really awesome. It's very close to if we were trying to do like a concerts on the corner for 2024. So much of these songs, which there will be one. So many of these songs will probably be on there, or it would be very passable for a best of.
Yeah, so results are in, amigos. There has never been a concert before, a show that has featured JTR, Spoon, Boa, recently, Rhyme and Reason, Busted Stuff. Did I say Busted Stuff twice?
No.
I don't know, but best show ever then. It's over.
Yeah. They've never been in the same show before, so.
That's just wild.
Okay, here, take out recently. Still hasn't been played. Take out Rhyme. Still, JTR, Spoon, Boa, and Busted Stuff never been played in the same show before. Take out Busted Stuff. Yeah, JTR, Spoon, and Boa never been played before. And JTR and Spoon 3 times, all in 2024.
What?
Wow. Best tour of all time. Best tour of all time.
Yeah, that is, wow, that's bonkers. So just the 2 opening songs, you had gotten basically something that never, ever, ever happened before 2020, the year of our Lord 2024 existed.
Yeah. And this is the only show where they've been played back to back.
So basically to every single person that's always like, but why do you go to so many shows? Well, it's right there, you dink. That is so good. So many people I feel like that that we knew were like there, or that we know of were there and posting about this stuff, and it just hurt my heart. I was so jealous.
So now here's the question. Do we go next year, or is it gonna suck?
I feel like you gotta go. I feel like you gotta go.
Right?
Hey, I mean, all the pictures look awesome of people tailgating on the lake. It looks like the most chill place, and then you just like kind of walk to this barn, like Bruce was saying, and go watch a killer weekend or midweek set of shows.
That's the only problem. Midweek, that's tough.
I know.
Yeah.
But New Hampshire, DMB or die.
Hey,
That's what it's all about up there.
That's what they
So,
say.
yep. And what we say is we have to move on to the next show because we can't talk too much about a show we weren't at, or everyone will just be like, well, you weren't even there. So we'll talk a little bit about night 2, which, arguably is another great show, but I don't think it can be argued that it's as good as night 1. The Start was trying to do something to us. Ants marching opener. Are you kidding me? First time Ants had opened since Bend, Oregon, back in 2021, and that's when Dave was doing some solo to start when Carter and Fonz were out. We saw an Ants opener. No, Ants came after Gray Street of night 1 of the Gorge, so it was not an opener.
Mhm.
Sorry. Okay, I'll revoke my podcast license. Ants marching opener, PNP into Minarets, okie dokie. You Might Die Trying, Crash Into Me, early for both. That's awesome. Fool to Think, amazing. A Break for It, tour debut.
Huh?
Yeah, very random, very interesting.
What?
You Never Know. Samurai Cop, which was initially tried and not played, and then tried again and played. Dancing Nancy's Idea of You, Lie in the Hands of God, into American Baby intro. Come on, 41, Black and Bluebird, All Along the Watchtower. The Space Between, aborted. Another one that was just not played again. Okay. And then they played Space Between after Dave thanked Dave thanked the caterers. See, they
You
do
were
have
right.
killer food. That's what it is.
yeah, it's the good
I
food.
swear I did not read that before right now. I did not hedge my bets.
That's amazing.
Closer of that is amazing. Closer of Rapunzel podcast license given back. Some Devil and Crush in the encore to close. Solid night 2. Come Tomorrow was the most played album with 4. So I don't know about that. But fellas, night 2. What do y'all think about that up in Guilford?
Again, the starts to these shows have been insane. Ants, Pentala, Minarets, Die Trying, Crash, Fool to Think. And then even if you don't like Break for It, because I know some people don't, to just play that out of left field, tour debut is wild. And then
Who
you
doesn't
never
like
know. The
Break for
first,
It? Whoa. Who doesn't like Break for It?
I think there's some people out there that don't like Break for It.
Are there like
Not
literally
me. I
dozens
like
of
it.
them, or what are we talking here?
Oh, Bruce is one. You'll have to ask him.
Ooh.
I don't mind it. I don't really care for it though. Like if they didn't play it anymore, I would not care.
It's nice talking on the pod. Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, it's
But just
it's
the
okay.
fact that they played it here is that's wild. It just goes to show you what Dave is like. He's locked in right now. He's like, he's on a heater, and then you never know. That's a crazy way to start a show.
Absurd. You got to kill the vibe with some Samurai Cop, which Dave started playing it a half step too high or something like that. And I was like, oh, he's not going to play it. Like, they're going to abort it. And then they started it up again. It's like, sorry, Guilford.
When I heard it the first time, I was like, what is going on? Like, this is kind of interesting. And then it sounded like he was trying to find it. So like slid down one in the middle of like the riff, and he still couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Dave's just like messing with the intro. And then I was like, wait a second, that wasn't right. Yeah, it completely threw me off. But yeah, pretty funny, pretty cool. It's always fun when they mess up and then just, laugh about it and correct themselves. Really for me, the rest of the show, I could take or leave most of that stuff. I'm sure it was fun and well played and all of that, but especially when compared to night 1 or most of the rest of the tour, just kind of petered out and was fairly standard, which is okay. I mean, shows are allowed to do that, but you know what? They had to save their energy for Camden, to be honest. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a shout out to that 41. Lawler came back out to do it for the second time on that. So just kind of, they had so much fun doing it in Bristow. They had to do it every stop before the break.
They had to.
That is such an interesting thing that they do that. Like they get, they do something a time or two that they don't do normally, and then all of a sudden it's like every show or every other show for a little bit. And yeah, awesome. Shout out Lawler. That's awesome that they continue to give him some stage time. The more, the better. Honestly, for him, it's always a treat. Yeah, great. I was about to say weekend. A great couple of nights there in Guilford, New Hampshire. Midweek, but leading down to the East Coast really finale, and really anywhere from Colorado east. They're done for the tour, and they capped it off here in Camden, New Jersey. One of the kind of, I guess, other big venues that sometimes gets absolutely epic weekends, and I think, no spoilers here. This was an epic weekend. And we're pretty pumped to talk about this one for a little bit. So I'll let you talk about it, Alex. You were there for both, right?
Yeah, so I live in southern New Jersey, so between this and Holmdel, they're almost the same distance from our place. So we're lucky to have 3 hometown shows this year.
Wow.
And it's always a great time. We joke around, we call it the Gorge of the East, because we've gotten some pretty good sets lately. But people had T-shirts that were made. We had these wristbands that were made. We were handing out. Like my stepdaughter Chloe came along with us both nights, and she was handing out these Gorge of the East 2024 wristbands to people, and everyone was cracking
bold.
up. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Anyone who's been to Camden knows that.
I can't decide if I'd rather stare at the gorge or the garbage can over to stage left in Camden. I really don't know.
But have you seen the heroin needles? They're pretty nice.
Yes, I have. I missed a couple when I was walking through out of the show. Night one, I think it was 2013, and then we got on the ferry and we were good. But it was like a, Bayou opener that night, so I mean, you could expect that.
Oh, the needles are still there.
I was trying to think of needle and the damage done or some sort of rhyme and reason joke, and I just couldn't. So let's continue on with what'd you say?
Was it looking for a vein?
Oh man, wow. We're crushing it. And speaking of looking for a vein, that is in the set list, night one. But we're gonna let Alex roll through night one and our finale for the East Coast.
Sure. Started off with a Hello Again, and then a PNP into Lie in Our Graves, which was the first time that's happened this tour, I want to say. Then a recently mid-set Ants Marching Early. Then Sweet, Break For It came back. Another mid-set One Sweet World. Looking for a Vein. And then Can't Stop. And then the tour debut of Captain. Captain's Back, Baby. Fool in the Rain. And then Dig in a Ditch. It Could Happen. Jimmy Thing. Don't Drink the Water. You and Me. And then What You Are, Set Closer. And then in the encore, the boys came on stage to play I'll Back You Up, and then Rapunzel. So really, really solid set. That Captain, definitely the highlight. Whew. Nice to see that come back.
It's such a good song.
Yeah, it seemed really short. And maybe it's just because I haven't really listened to a lot of Captain lately. But did it seem short to you?
Yeah, it was definitely a shorter version. Sometimes they'll circle back and play that second verse a second time on the song, and they didn't do it this time. They've done it both ways in the past, but this was definitely one of the shorter versions.
That's what they did at MSG too, isn't it?
They didn't play the second verse, but they jammed it out with Mark.
Oh, Mark Whitfield, yeah. Man,
interesting. Okay, well, I mean, I think Captain for the most part is likely in that. It looks like that they've kind of held it in that just right under 4 minutes range. This was kind of a short show time wise, anyways. It looks like just at barely over 2 hours, which is a big contrast for a lot of the other shows. I mean, a good 20 plus minutes shorter than most shows, but regardless, they packed a punch with with all of that. Hello Again openers, I mean, come on, you can't beat that. But the best thing is that Pantala with Graves, and they absolutely nailed it. That's how you do the segues. That's what I'm talking about, Dave. And I can't believe it had taken them that long to really do that this year. But that is, oh man, that's spot on. And right in the 2-hole too. And then you got Recently and Ants. That's top notch set listing. That is a top notch opening run. It is. I mean, you're riding high right there. That is almost, you do not care what they play next.
Oh yeah,
And you know what?
No doubt.
That's only the 4th Hello Again opener all time.
Yeah, just ridiculous. It seems like it would be, especially back in the day. It seemed like it could have been an opener that was more common, but they like never did it in 2004, which is,
I guess because it was new and it wasn't on anything. Kind of makes sense. But you'd think in 2005 when Stand Up came out, maybe they would do it
and
more.
And then just didn't.
And then just stop playing it.
That song, I thought that song could have really been a good, I don't know, like single or just something that they could have done a little bit more. And they, they opened the stand-up release show with that song, with Hello Again, and didn't open with it again for almost 20 years until this year. They didn't open with it again until 2024, from 2005, from the stand-up release show. Well, you would think they'd be like, all right, they're sending the signals, they're going to open with this song, they feel that this is an opener. Something must have happened, I don't remember, but that's just, I can't believe that. I can't believe it.
That's crazy. Especially, I get maybe not doing it that first year, like Nolan said, but then once you're coming back to a venue during the stand-up tour, you can be, be cheeky and say hello again. Like, I don't. Pretty wild.
Dave's a cheeky guy. I feel that's right up his wheelhouse. That's what I don't get. Hey, well, we got it in Raleigh when they came back after COVID. That was epic.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, love that song.
I know.
Way to get things going.
A lot of people thought it would have opened that show, but obviously did not. Big fan of just like the cool down here with Sweet. I really am a fan of Sweet. Break for It. I think that's a good spot for it there. And One Sweet World barely played this year, which is kind of wild.
Two times.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I think that song needs a little bit of a breather. I wish they would bring back the intro to it. But alas, but thank God we got the 3rd Can't Stop of the tour. Where the hell has that been? I mean, if Alex would have gone this year without a Can't Stop, I would have been really upset.
Oh, don't worry, I got 2 of them. It's that song. That song chases me, man. I think it's close to being in like my top 10 or 15 songs most heard all time, which is just. You can't stop.
That's crazy. No. I forgot you got it in West Palm.
I hate
that's
it.
Right.
That's like bottom 5 song for me. But then it redeemed himself with that Captain, and we were still riding high from that early set run, so it's okay. It's okay. He earned a Can't Stop.
That's true. That's a good point. It could happen coming in. Another one that has not been played very much this year. It has still not taken off the way that I think that we've talked about before, that we would hope that it had. But it's still kind of in that, seems like they haven't quite figured it out. And I don't know if they're going to take any more risks on the outro and make it into something else. But it's good to see it played. It's just kind of unfortunate that it still hasn't evolved too much.
Kind of a weird version.
I concur.
It's kind of slow. It was kind of slow, honestly. It sounded like they hadn't played it or rehearsed it much to me. Like super. It started off like, felt like halftime almost, but it was nice to hear it.
Yes, that's the one that was super slow that I listened to recently. Good call out. It is. It was weird.
Yeah, I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. I thought it was like something wrong with the with like my playback or something, and when it first started.
Oh, weird. It was not like that in Raleigh, so that's interesting. Like a month
I
apart.
think I think it was I think it was honestly Carter, because I think Dave was kind of frustrated with it early on, was kind of like trying to a little bit push it, and they just weren't in that time. They couldn't flip it
Yeah.
over. But yeah, anywho,
Definitely not the
hopefully
best
it'll
version
get
of
played.
that. Definitely not the best version to listen to if you want to listen to a live it could happen, but still nice to hear them trying to play it and bringing it back. Um,
Yeah,
hopefully they
that's
fix that
right.
by Gorge, you know.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of us will be there, but I agree. I still want to hear "Epic." It could happen. So hopefully, we'll get one. The end of the set reads almost to me like a 2009 show or something. With the Jimmy thing, "Don't Drink," "You and Me." What you
Mm.
are is obviously not one, but if you kind of flip that and had the Jimmy thing to close, then that reads kind of
Mm.
like those older weird end of shows that were always kind of the same. I'll back you up. Rapunzel, great encore, in my opinion. So yeah, Alex, round us out for Camden Night One. What'd you think of the end there, and then what were the vibes leading out of the show there?
I think everyone was really happy with the set overall. I mean, it you and me isn't ideal for my group of friends for sure, but then closing out with what you are, always welcome. Great closer. I'll back you up. Such a treat, like we talked about earlier. A lot of hugs and tears going on in my group on the lawn, and then Rapunzel. I love Rapunzel, so a great dance party, great way to close the show, especially on night one. Um, Definitely felt like a short show, like you guys had said before. Like I think we were looking at our watches, like, oh, it's only been like 19 songs and it's over this early. Um, but everyone was happy with the set list for the most part. And then that obviously with how the sets had been going and what had been done at Guilford and the shows leading up, we were all really hyped for night two, which we can get into.
Yeah, you should have been. Just not a lot of jamming for night one, and that's perfectly fine. The great thing, obviously, you had the Sirius XM broadcast, and then we did just this past weekend get a Volta broadcast of this show that was streaming live, and was not, to be honest, not very well promoted. It just kind of popped up, and then they sent like an email and like a social media notification. I pretty sure we were the first ones to put it out on any social media, and that's just like that's unless we were given that information to do so by the band or something, that should not happen. In something like this, like that should have been promoted days beforehand, because that's awesome. I mean, the things that they've done with that kind of streaming stuff, like, yeah, get it going, guys. I mean, that's so I was a little bit, surprised at that, but still awesome. Shout out to our guys over at Volta. That is sick. That they did that and just kind of dropped in. It was also marketed as like a rerun or a re-air. It's like, no, that wasn't a replay. You haven't done it. So it was just the messaging there was a little frustrating. Sorry for the complaints, but it still was completely awesome. Sirius XM stream, always awesome. And then night two, everybody knew that was also put out and streamed live by Volta. Broken news by the pod, obviously, as well. We were first ones to that, as per usual. Nolan, obviously,
Yeah.
but but a Saturday night stream, you can't. I mean, we're just over the moon that they're doing these now. Last show of this leg. I hope, fingers crossed, that we'll see even more of this on the West Coast, potentially, maybe the full weekend at Gorge. Let's do it. Come on,
Ooh.
guys, you can do it.
Did you
But
watch?
would I?
Did you know? Did you watch Camden Night 2?
Yeah, actually did watch most of it, and most of it from the car. It was playing on and off sort of deal, and even my brother watched most of this show and was really
Mm.
impressed. He really liked it. And huge fan. We'll get into some of that as we go through it. But yeah, that was, I don't know how many DMB shows or songs in a row that he's watched too often. I know he's watched some, but he has wanted to see them more recently, and this even kicked that in the more high gear. Anyways, sorry, long rant. We got this show on Volta, but even better, Alex was there. take us inside Camden Night 2.
Energy high. We were joking about the venue Camden and the not so great sites, but it's an awesome tailgating scene out there. It can compete with the best of them. So everyone's just thrilled to be at the venue. Lots of early arrivers in the lots. People handing out merch, and like I said, it's our hometown show, so it's a large group of us who get together, and we have a big lawn party every night. So got our spot in the lawn. The guys came out relatively early, pretty close to that 7:30 start time, and started off with a little prelude, and then the Stone, baby, getting my favorite song to open tonight too. It's just like, all right, we're in for a good one. So kick it off with that Stone, then Dancing Nancy's in the Warehouse, which is great. Got the little stop time intro on that Warehouse, and then a Louie Louie in there. And then we go right into Anyone Seen the Bridge, into Too Much, but it was a fake. Went right into Pig. Awesome. And then Sugar Will back again. Awesome to see that. Madman's Eyes with the extended intro. And then a So Damn Lucky, Lover Lay Down, and then the tour debut of Shotgun. Whew. That just hit me in the feels. Let's Dance. And then Joe Lawler back out again for 41. And then Black and Bluebird, Midset All Along the Watchtower, and Stolen Away, Gravedigger, Everyday, and Gray Street to close out the main set. And then wrapping it up with the Baby Blue in the encore one and a full Last Stop, long version of Last Stop, which was just the perfect way to end the weekend. Don't know where to dive in first because there's a lot to talk about on this one.
It's all fairly mediocre, so you can really just pick a spot and just talk about it. It's fine. Just kidding. All right. Let's dive in here because the Last Stop, although it was the full Last Stop, not the longest song of the night, that belongs to the opener, the Stone, the longest version in Stone history. What can you tell us about this version of the Stone that we might be missing here? Why was it the longest part? It includes a prelude.
Yeah, so there was a little prelude to kind of build some tension before the song started, which added about a minute to the song. So it wound up being like the longest version of the Stone, or close to it, even without that prelude. But
Wow.
I think it beat the longest version by over a minute before this, which is pretty wild.
Love that.
And I was lucky to have seen the Stone also in West Palm Beach, the only two times it's been played this tour. But at that show in West Palm, Jeff just went nuts, and then just to see that happen again here, where he was feeling it. He was walking in the middle of the stage. He was kind of old school 08, 09 Jeff feel to it. They just let him go ham, and that's why it was so long. It's just, you just thought Jeff was never going to stop, in a good way.
That's
so
the best.
Yeah, it's just a killer version. I would recommend anyone go back and listen to it. I really hope Volta puts this back up so people can kind of check the show out if they missed the first time through. And then you can't really beat following up with Nancy's Warehouse. Like, also two pretty long versions of that relative to some of the recent versions. So they were on a jammy kick after that short show night one.
Yeah, well, hold on to your pants. Let's not leave the Stone just yet. Not ready. I'm not ready. I liked the prelude, obviously, but again, I cannot believe that they haven't played this more this tour, because Jeff absolutely slayed it over in Europe, and then that West Palm version was also excellent. So was this one. It's like, oh man, we're just missing out on so many opportunities for epic Stones, because they are absolutely nailing it. They're nailing the intro. They're coming in at the right time. Jeff is destroying. Dave sounds great. Dang it. Just super frustrating when I feel like that they're just absolutely, this lineup is playing the Stone better than they ever have, and we're just barely getting it at all. Yeah, the Nancy's Warehouse was fantastic. I thought that the Nancy's was like longer than it seemed like normal. They just continued that end Tim was absurd. Carter was ridiculous, and it seemed like that. I didn't know if Nancy's was ever going to end. I was just like, okay, cool. Just a 20-minute Nancy's. I don't know what's going to happen here. And they just continue to go and go and go, and then a perfect, obviously, going into Warehouse. Your first 3 songs there, all over 10 minutes. You knew you were in for something special with that start, but just like the jammy start to the show was really cool.
Yeah, and you could tell they were feeling it. When the stop time intro on, well, you talk about the long jam on Nancy's, then they went to the stop time intro on Warehouse, and that felt a little long. And then Dave kind of fed into the Louie Louie chants from the crowd, did that in Warehouse, and then you could just knew from that point on, is like, all right, these guys are in a good mood tonight. It's gonna be one of those shows.
Yeah.
Warehouse
And with
just killer. Warehouse is always killer, but that's just, there's nothing that brings the mood up like a Warehouse.
I love early Warehouse. So good.
So I was watching this, and did they do Louie Louie in a different part of the song? Or like, when has that changed?
No,
I think it was the normal time, right?
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
like
it was.
They used to do it like going into the jam, but this was like during the slowed down part. Or am I just crazy?
Yeah, it's the normal part, and the crowd exit on, and that's kind of where it comes from today, is when basically the crowd and Dave obliges, I think. But it's always in that little like to stay, that part right before that. Now, did they do that earlier in the song, earlier on in their career? TBD, because I'm not 100% sure, and you may be right about that. We'll have to do some fact checking, but these days it's always been where it is.
We need to do a deep dive on that.
Yeah, I mean, Warehouse is definitely one that could be like an entire podcast in and of itself.
Oh yeah, really? We should do it. All right, so you had to be thinking something crazy was going to happen here. Anyone seen the bridge starts? No, so much to say. No triplets. Too much fake. What did you think it was going into? Because I did not have Pig on my bingo card.
No, I mean, I thought it was too much. I was really faked out.
You were faked.
Like, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I love it with so much to say, but I'll take a bridge too much. And that transition into Pig was just seamless. Like, you could tell they had practiced quite a bit on it. And I, one of our friends on the lawn, Candace, was like chasing Pig. I think it was like her 20-something show, and she had never seen Pig. And just like to see the fake out and then her like fall to the ground was just, it just made it great. It was a great version of Pig, but the fake made it all the better, and it'll be an unforgettable version of that for sure.
Flawless.
So good. I love when people are chasing songs and get to see it. It's the best.
Yeah. There's a lot of that on this night. Honestly, a lot of that.
They've done a really good job with Pig as of late too. It's been played a lot this tour, which is really good to see. Almost 10 times already, which, you know, it should be played more. I mean, come on, what do you want? It's not too many better songs than that, but they're playing it really well. There's a lot of really good quality, I guess, dichotomy in what Dave's doing, as far as they get really quiet and Dave's singing it very well, and then it comes back up where it's not like a straight line drive of all loud. And Carter has really laid out a lot during the verses. And this one just kind of really accentuated that. I really enjoyed this. But yeah, flawless fake, epic to see anyone seeing the bridge just pop up. And then, of course, you get Sugar Will, because, I mean, the show had started off so slow and so boring. Why wouldn't you want to get them going with the Sugar Will?
Yeah, Sugar Will is just one of those songs too. There's nothing quite like it in the catalog. It really has a cool, jammy feel to it compared to the rest of the catalog, because they never really know what to do with the outro of it these days, because they don't play it that much. So it feels like it's one of like a real true kind of jam band feel of like it feels like it's different every time, which is really really a treat. And it's one of those songs that should be played more because it was a song that, like, going back to what I had mentioned earlier, I forgot on what song, but never really had much violin in it. So it feels like it'd be like one of those the first songs you pick out in the catalog. Like, we don't have a violin anymore. Let's play some Sugar Will.
I wish they would play it way more. It is so hypnotic. I love this song, and I watched the live stream through Sugar Will, and I was like, "There's no way there's going to be anything can top this. This is ridiculous." I'm done. I'm done watching Sugar Will. So I left it on,
Huge
but
mistake.
I've started watching something else. I would peek, and then I saw the Violet, and I was like, "Okay, cool." But dude, Shotgun, or sorry, Sugar Will. Let's just think about this: Sugar Will, Shotgun, same show. These two desperately need to be on an album together, and the band could really fine tune them and figure them out once and for all, and then play them at every show forever.
You're
I think those
speaking
are the
my
things we've been
language.
saying for like 18 years.
Yeah,
That's it.
no
Well,
complaints.
one day it'll happen.
Yeah,
but they need to play Shotgun like they played it in 06, not now, because I cannot be beat. 06 Shotgun cannot be beat.
I agree. It's really interesting to listen to like an 06 one, and then even this one. They are playing it so lightning fast now. It's pretty wild just to hear the difference, and just holy smokes. I mean, still good. I think that this was still, pretty cool. We talk about Shotgun and how we wish Dave may not yell quite as much, but regardless, but I did like the run. So Damn Lucky. That's been a good one. I really like Buddy on that one. Lover with another great Jessel and Shotgun here. What was the crowd vibe like, Alex, as you kind of shifted from that absurd opening run, and then you get, So Damn Lucky, Lover Lay Down, which is, more quiet. Then you get the Shotgun, holy shit, and then Let's Dance, which seems to get a huge crowd pop. Talk a little bit about that portion of the show.
Yeah, it definitely was a little bit of a cooling off period, not in a bad way. So Damn Lucky is really enjoyable up through the crowd participation part of it, in my opinion. I think it could be 3 minutes shorter without people saying thank you over and over again, for my taste. But people like it, so, and it was nice to hear it. I love the piano stuff that Buddy does on it towards the end. Lover Lay Down, always love to hear that. It's a big inside joke with our group on the lawn that we actually just like lay down on the grass. So it was kind of a treat. And then Shotgun, I mean, Shotgun top 5 song for me and my wife. Seeing that vignette come out, you're like, it's gonna be Squirm, it's gonna be Idea of You. They haven't played Shotgun this year, and then those first notes start coming out, and everyone drops to their knees, like, oh my god, I can't believe it. I thought it was a really great version. I've seen some critics online, but I thought it's as good as it's gonna sound these days.
Good enough.
Yeah. Just I like some of the improv lyrics Dave did on it this time. He changed up some of the lyrics you typically hear since kind of that well-known 2012 Hershey Park version. But I thought it was terrific. And then Let's Dance, you had mentioned it. I think, honestly, that's probably like the best cover they've put out here in 15 or 20 years. In my opinion, like, I think it's crowd loves it. Dave sounds great on it. Tim sounds amazing on it. Like, it's not too long. It's just, I think it's perfect fit. So happy to hear that. And it was a lot of people's first time hearing that, first time at the venue and everything like that. So well-placed version of that.
Love Dave's voice on it for sure. I just love that. That's his register right there. That entire song is is tremendous. Okay, so you get 41 here again with Lawler. How did this one kind of stack up to the other one or other ones? I can't remember if you saw multiple at this point with his guest spots, and what did you think about that? How was the crowd feeling?
Crowd always happy to hear a 41. Even better when there's a guest. I thought that the audio was kind of off in terms of Joe's tone from where we were standing at. But people elsewhere in the lawn or in their seats said it sounded better from their vantage point. But I think he felt the most comfortable he's felt yet on it, and it was a pretty long version compared to the one they had done at Guilford just a few shows prior. So they were definitely feeling it again, and felt a little bit higher energy than the one at Bristow from the jump. But I don't think it quite
Nice.
hit that peak that Bristow had towards the end, closing out a show. So it was good. It was nice to see Joe guest on that twice, and I think for my taste, if Joe would guest on Rhyme and Reason every time, I would take that. But I'll take a 41 too.
Yeah, I felt like they didn't quite find it on this one too. It kind of seemed like a lot of like build up to trying to peak, and they never went there, which was interesting. But it was cool. It was a lot of messing around by Joe, and that was really kind of cool to hear because you could tell he was just having a blast and just like messing around and doing a lot of like long sustain notes or like off hits and this, that, and the other. And so I thought that was super interesting. But yeah, you've got the rest of the show here with Black and Bluebird. Again, kind of cool to see that being played. But the Midset Watchtower, Stolen Away, Gravedigger, Everyday, and Gray Street to close. On paper, maybe not what I was really expecting or hoping to see on the stream. Just kind of like, oh man, this show is kind of building. What are they going to do next? And it was kind of a letdown. Just kind of watching it from the couch. But what did y'all think? And especially Alex, that was there.
I think it definitely makes a difference being there in person versus watching from home or just watching the set list kind of run down on DMB Hub or something like that. All along the Watchtower midset, that's where it belongs, in my opinion. Just killer. Tim has absolutely nailed that Stairway to Heaven kind of interpolation they do. It feels like it's more of the song than they used to play, at least on that version. I can't recall if they've always played that much of it. Stolen Away, bringing it down a little bit. That song, people love it or hate it. I think I like it just because I haven't heard it much. And then Gravedigger, I think that's a song that people like to hate on, but I enjoy that song as well. We already talked about Every Day. I like it. But, again, that song got beat to death in 2018, 2019. So I can see why people are over the Buddy shtick on it. But it's been pretty rare-ish lately, so I'll take it. That was my first time seeing it this tour, so I was happy with it. And then Gray Street Closer. It's not my favorite closer in the world. It's a great closer, but I'll take that every day of the week over a Shake Me Like a Monkey or something like that. So energy through the roof going through the encore. Everyone was still riding that high of the early set, and there wasn't anything like as big enough of a dud to bring people down from that kind of ride they were on.
You had to have guessed that the last stop might be played at the last stop of the East Coast.
There were some concerns, whether it was not concerns, but a lot of people thought it might not be played just because the last Volta stream that had been played was when the last stop was brought back in Portugal. In the full last stop. So people were thinking it might be two-step. But just when you see that 12 string come out, you're like, okay, it's the last stop. Let's go. And I thought they absolutely nailed it. It was the cleanest version they played by far since bringing back that reprise at the end. And just a great version. It's kind of one of the only songs I can think of where it slows down at the end and you have to kind of like the chill the chill vibes with the reprise playing lightly and the crowd clapping and things like that, and having that be a satisfying way to end like a long weekend. Like it was honestly, and they took the show like right to like 10:59, 48 seconds. Like they knew exactly when curfew was, and so it was kind of nice to see that.
That's funny. Yeah, you got another
longest show of the tour.
40 minutes from extra from the night before.
Yeah, you and if I mean you. It didn't feel like it was that long, but you knew just from like looking at your watch when the show's over, like, holy cow, they actually played 3 hours tonight. So
Yeah. Well, sorry though, song rarity rank 23 of 24. So
What a joke.
Sorry, you had to see the second worst show of the tour.
I'm not going back after this. Like, I don't know why anyone would want to see a show after seeing a set like this.
Yeah,
exactly. It's all over. Sell your tickets now. Great encore. Baby Blue, Last Stop. I mean, what in the world? It's
perfect.
It's fantastic. It is perfect. And that is, Alex was right. Best Last Stop, I think, of the year. Nailed the outro. The build up in the reprise, build up to the reprise on the outro was spectacular. The more tension, the better. Continue to let it go. Carter was letting it ride. Tim with the off notes, and you could see Dave was beginning to play the outro. I mean, it was like the old days. This is what you want to hear, is like someone start playing the outro first, and you kind of hear it, but just still clanging, doing all that, and just rockets, and then all of a sudden, I mean, come on, that is it's chill inducing, and it is. I just want to be able to see that live again and feel that in person, because I know that it just hits so hard. And what a way to end the East Coast run and end. I mean, well over half of the tour, obviously, as we as they head out west and only have 6 more shows, guys. They only have 6 more concerts on this summer tour. So again, well past halfway.
That's
but
crazy.
To end the opening major, huge, well over 3/4 of the way, really, run of the tour, and they ended it in style.
I didn't realize there was only that few shows left. I keep forgetting it's a shorter tour with all the Europe stuff. So got to reevaluate.
No love for the West Coast.
Some of these songs I felt like were underplayed. They really weren't when you look at how few shows there were. So,
I know it's just mostly 2-night stands. A couple of one-offs sprinkled in, like that crappy venue in Raleigh or something. I don't know. But what's crazy is that Camden got the shortest show and the longest show of the entire tour. When you take out the West Palm, like shortened, weird 2-set-ish show, they had the shortest and the longest show of the tour. That's pretty weird. That is wild.
You don't see that a lot. Yeah.
No.
Big dichotomy there. That is very interesting. Okay, last thoughts, Alex, on Camden, but also just your 2024 D&B experience so far, because it has come to an end, at least for the summer. We'll see what the fall holds, as I presume dates will be coming within the next month or so, but you'll see something soon, so stay tuned. But what did you think about your experience this summer tour as you wrapped up?
I think the band's in a really great spot right now. I think I don't know what's gotten into them, whether it's just confidence with the current lineup, or someone's gotten into their ears about what kind of the fan base wants to hear these days, because it's pretty much like a dedicated fan base going to multiple shows, oftentimes being a large chunk of the crowd. But they absolutely are just playing to what the people want at this point. And like Nolan had brought up earlier, these intros, these opening runs have just been absurd all year. It really takes you back to those 04, 03, 02 kind of feels. And I think they capped it off with, in my opinion, what was the best show of my summer in Camden, night 2. Maybe even the best full band show I've seen I'm a pretty new fan. Like, started
Wow.
going since only 2013. So, I mean, when you get two of my top 3 songs in there with Stone and Shotgun, like, forget it. You can't beat that.
Wow. So you got Camden Night 2 over Homedale.
For my taste, yeah. Yeah. They're pretty close, though.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's great.
yeah. So, very happy with this tour. It's one of those tours where you get FOMO watching the set list go along, but as long as you got to a stop, you're pretty happy, unless you're Mansfield.
Poor Mansfield.
Pretty much. Something like that. Nolan,
Man.
your parting thoughts on this first major, huge, long leg of the 2024 Summer Tour.
Yeah, I wish it was a little easier to get to more shows because they were absolutely on fire. I think end of 2023 just kind of carried into 2024, and I'm sad. I'm probably only going to see them the one Raleigh show this year. Need more North Carolina dates or just something close by, please, next year. Wilmington 2 nights. Just make it on a weekend and we're good. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know who the MVP is right now. The front runner might be Dave for me, just with the set list creation and variety. It's been insane. It might be Robert Randolph for what he did on that Grayson. Hello again. Holy
That's
cow.
right.
Oh, yeah.
But gosh, no, Alex, you saw some awesome shows. So I'm pumped that you got to see those. I know Bruce, we were both happy with the shows we got. That's all you can ask for. Leave the show, leave the summer feeling good about your shows. Man, I hope they keep it up. I wish there were more West Coast shows because that's only 6. It's crazy that it's almost over. And then I think it's going to be a shorter fall tour, little mini tour. So yeah, I'd love to see him again this year, but if not, had a blast in Raleigh once again.
I know it has definitely gotten tougher to hit shows as we've gotten a little older, and as their touring schedule changes up a little bit too. So we'll see. Maybe they'll give you that Wilmington 2-night stand on a weekend that is also not when you're working or when you are on vacation. So Nolan, it will have to fit into all of those things, and that's just how it works when you get older. It just
and when Goose is also not playing.
Oh yeah, Goose, and they're coming up next, I think, for most of us. So we'll be diving into them later into the year. But exciting stuff. The band will be back. They will be back very soon. We've got just a couple more weeks. I think from the date that you're hearing this, it's just over 2 weeks until they are out in Fiddler's Green or out in Colorado at Fiddler's Green. So they'll have those 2 nights. Head on up to Bend, Oregon, and then the 3-night stand to close out the tour at the Gorge with a bunch of cool opening bands, including Trombone Shorty. Obviously, our favorite Corey Wong will be there night 2. So for those of y'all going to that, that's exciting. That's about a month away. But yeah, Alex, thank you for letting us do this again and for always being the man and going to awesome shows, number one, but bringing even better insight. We really appreciate it, man.
Always happy to hop on, guys. You guys are the best.
Thanks, man. Thanks for rocking the merch too. The COG shirt.
Well,
awesome.
I bought mine too early because I saw the new shirts right after I bought mine. I was like, damn, those are great. So I might have to get another shirt,
Okay.
That's great segue. We have some new tour shirts and other shirts in the merch store. You can find that cornerofgraystreet.shop, I believe is his address. You can find the link to that stuff on the any of our socials and things. But anytime you guys purchase anything is we're beyond grateful. So yeah, we'll have to continue to do stuff like that if y'all are continue to be interested in it. So thank y'all a ton. Thanks to Volta for streaming, that's awesome. Always thanks to SiriusXM, but thanks to DMB for doing that for the fans. We hope to continue to get cool streaming shows like that. So that was awesome. And thanks for the cool set list, Dave. It's been awesome. I wanted to step in. I think the MVP so far of the tour is Carter effing Beaufort. So yeah, how about that, guys? Maybe we'll do an MVP later on. That would be cool. We'll have to think about that. We did an awards, I think, like several years ago. Maybe we'll have to come back up with end of the year awards or something. But thank y'all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. You know where to find us on the socials at Gray Street Pod. I was about to forget where we are on socials. It's late. We're tired. We love you guys. Thank y'all so much. And as always, we'll see you next time, especially when the band comes back on the corner of Gray Street.
Osiris.